One day I was sick and I went and spit, and my boss ended up calling me, "Oh, Sadie, typical squaw." I, as an Indigenous woman, will not accept you calling me a squaw, and if I'm going to have attitude about it, there's a reason for it. So she was like, "You know what, I'm sick and tired of this attitude that you're giving me." And I was like, "If you really want to see attitude, I'll give you the attitude that you gave me for the racist comment you gave me on Friday." And she was just like, "What? Like, I didn't say anything racist." I was like, "Yes, squaw is a derogatory term against Indigenous women." So she was just like, "Well, you know what, you can like take your attitude and go, like you're fired." And I was like, "You know what, I quit." That she took action to her prejudice and fired me. I will use my voice because that's the voice that's most marginalized. It's at the bottom. And so I speak the loudest and unapologetically be the loud. Unapologetically Indigenous, unapologetically Ikwe, all of it. People thinking that they can treat us with disrespect and get away with it. And so when we intervene and we say no, we demand the respect, and we're not going to back down. You know, with us challenging the status quo and us challenging racism allows for our younger kids to grow up in a life where it's a little bit more welcoming of them. Always remember that there's ancestors behind you. Always remember that you're not doing this by yourself, even when you're addressing it or challenging it by yourself. To know that when you speak, your ancestors are speaking with you. You know, I started taking up more work in addressing sexism, patriarchy. I started learning more about Indigenous matriarchy, and I was using that as a way of, you know, addressing the situation. I'm also part of Red Rising magazine, also with the Canadian Federation of Students, the Circle of First Nations Métis Inuit students, and I work at Winniskatang, which is an alliance of Indigenous communities affected by hydro in Manitoba. My name is Sadie Phoenix Lavoie. My spirit name is Migazi Ganawabini Jugay Indigenous.
Jerry Kim Daniels. I'm the Grand Chief of the Southern Chiefs Organization. We are all connected, and we have to be able to see the human side in one another, so that we are all focused on creating opportunity for everybody and not just for one group of people. They have their beliefs and their judgments, but the way that they put it out there has always been less, not as offensive, but definitely an undercurrent of their beliefs in that, you know, we are not as adequate as they are. It's obviously a misinterpretation, misunderstanding, but you have to correct people, and you can't just allow it to happen without letting them know that they were wrong in making those comments or actions.
Bonjour, how do you do? I'm Wab Canoe. I'm the leader of the Manitoba NDP. I've experienced quite a bit of discrimination in my life. I think the whole reason I moved to Winnipeg as a boy with my family is because the discrimination that happens with the federal government giving less money for education on reserve. That's the reason my family moved to Winnipeg. I did experience racism here, and it was not just words, it was also violence. And it was not just from people my age as a kid, it was also from adults. But I was able to turn it around with a good family, practicing the culture, getting educated, and then finding a career for myself. Now I'm a pretty positive person, and just work really hard to try and make sure everyone in our society, not just Indigenous people, but also women, two-spirited people, people from other backgrounds, that everyone is treated fairly and gets treated equally. One thing that's really important to remember is that even if you face obstacles like discrimination, the road to the top is still open. So even if you do have to overcome more things than the average person does on your road to success, it's important just to keep a good attitude, stay positive, and just keep putting one foot in front of the other.
English name is Cody Zachariah. I've been discriminated for the fact that I am Indigenous. I've been discriminated for the fact that I am a little lighter presenting. My skin isn't, I guess, that beautiful brown that a lot of our people have. I faced discrimination at school, where people maybe didn't think that, you know, I was smart enough to be in their group, even though I was a straight A student. I don't wear a suit every day. But when I was in business school, there's a really entrenched kind of culture of professionalism. And if you don't embody that every day, then you must not be good at you know, business courses, even though I did graduate with a very high GPA. So My advice would be to, love yourself, love your people, connect with your community if there's anything you're uncertain about. It can be dangerous to internalize the discrimination, and then you can start to feel like something's wrong with you. I would say that the person who's discriminating you has the problem. So that can be some of the hardest things, is to love yourself through that hate, but that will help you survive. Love yourself, love your people, and love your family. Within my role, I help lead and coordinate and govern in National Student Movement. I represent over 650,000 students. We develop campaigns and services, and we hold gatherings and professional development opportunities for students. I also meet with politicians to lobby on behalf of Indigenous and student rights. My name is He Speaks in the Wind. My English name is Cody Zachariah, and I am the National Chairperson for the Canadian Federation of Students.
Hello, my name is Michael Redhead Champagne.
Hi, my name is Jenna Licious. I am the Youth Engagement Coordinator for Aboriginal People Opportunities.
I'm a public speaker, community organizer, a writer, a storyteller. What we do in the community is we want to bring unity back to our community, bringing together First Nations, Métis, and Inuit young people. That means bringing together Indigenous and non-Indigenous people. We share our gifts with one another, that we can help address some of the systemic challenges that we're facing in our communities. A new initiative called 13 Fires Winnipeg was born. So 13 Fires conversation on racial inclusion happened the entire following year, every single month, tackling important topics like children, justice, education, missing and murdered relatives, Indigenous and non-Indigenous relationship building, water, and many more. So that's part of why Aboriginal Youth Opportunities was founded, to give young people a voice. Be unapologetically Niche. So if you are Indigenous, be unapologetic about it. If you talk res, you talk res. If you talk hood, like inner city, you talk that way. Don't change who you are just to fit into this world. Be unapologetically who you are.
Break those stereotypes, because you are not that stereotype.
That's
Most
right.
recent,
Thank
I
you.
think, would be somebody that came up to me and kind of got in my face a little bit, reading my personal space. And my first instinct, coming from where I come from, is to physically get them away from you. So I took a step back and I assessed the situation, and I used my words. I said how I felt, and it was handled really, really good, So when you feed like anger with anger, it's always a really bad outcome. So I've handled myself in negative ways before. I could have done things differently or said things differently when it came to dealing with someone who was attacking me verbally or even physically. Pray for them. You gotta pray for those people, man. Those people are sad and they're lonely and they're hurt inside. They're so empty that they want you to feel as bad as they do. And one of the best things you can do for people like that is pray for them. Give them a hug if you can. Just drop everything, all your groceries and your bingo dabbers and cars, and just hug them. You gotta fight hate with love. You gotta fight darkness with light. Otherwise, it's just a never-ending cycle of anger and hate, and it doesn't get anybody anywhere good. My name is Mike Scott. I'm from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. I am a motivational speaker by trade, and I am a second-year university student at the U of S in Saskatchewan.
Bonjour, Shawnee Siknatishnakas. My name is Chantal Wilson, and I'm from Waiwais-Kappa First Nation. I'm an entrepreneur and a teacher. I create moccasins, mucklucks, mitts, gauntlets, and wraparounds, and I enjoy teaching this beautiful tradition. I'm the youngest and only female to sit on Chief and Council for the term of 2017 to 2021. And unfortunately, I've been discriminated against for my age and my gender. When we were in our council chambers, and this woman had come in to have a meeting with us, and this guy was talking to me, and he was telling me, it's great that you're a young counselor. I'm looking forward to all the great things that you have to say. And then this woman is sitting across the table, and she says, "What are you doing? Are you translating for her?" So I'm not sure where her prejudice was coming from. To me, I was thinking, okay, maybe she thinks that I'm young and I'm ignorant. So no No matter what anyone has to say about you, you know, just remember who you are and be true to everything that you believe in and love. Always love.
My name is Jordan Valero. I am the president of New Media Films. I work as an educator and as a producer and a creative, telling First Nation stories from coast to coast to coast. One of the things that we're working on right now is our relationships with Vice and APTN and CBC and so on and so forth to correct the wrongs that are in media. And the only way that we could create balance to all this chaos is if we're the ones that actually know how to tell our own story. And discrimination is a thing that is kind of like an expectation. Even though it's 2018, especially in the media, you know, we also do a lot of fighting amongst one another, and I think that's because of the ignorance. We see it in our communities with our LGBT and two-spirited youth. The suicide crisis in Cross Lake, I was told, was actually started from 4 or 5 LGBT youth. And then it was misinterpreted by both the media and its own community. A lot of our knowledge has been oral. And so, like videos like these, we need to continue to communicate, but we have to document to help create balance. And we have to start somewhere. And if we don't agree with what someone is saying, then we have to make our voice heard, or else it'll be the exact same thing over and over.
Hi, my name is Ashley Collingwell and I'm from the Enoch Cree Nation in Alberta. I am an actress, a motivational speaker, model, and an activist for Indigenous issues in Canada. I deal with a lot of racism constantly throughout my life. I've dealt with it since I was a little girl, all the way through high school, throughout my career, and even now. I feel like a lot of people judge me on a stereotype that they created for Indigenous people, and it couldn't be more incorrect. Like, if you want to educate people, you have to educate with kindness. That's how I like to educate people on the truth of Indigenous people. And I like to tell them, you know, I'm not that stereotype whatsoever. I'm very educated. I do a lot for myself. I can't let people's opinions affect me because I personally believe that my opinion is the one that matters, how I truly feel about myself. And I feel like no matter where you go, people are always going to have an opinion or think they have a say on your life or what you're doing, or if you're doing it wrong or you're not doing it up to what their standards are. And I feel like you should only live for yourself, and that's where you'll find true happiness. And along the way, if you meet someone that is being racist, I feel like you should educate them with kindness.
Inside there you have this potential that's just waiting to make you into this stronger and more empowering person. And when you bring that empowerment with you everywhere you go, it will go on to someone else. When people are empowered, others will feel empowered, and that's beautiful.